We welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our conversations and coffee on this 8th day of the month of May. As we said last week, it's so wonderful to welcome May and the year of 2025. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We're delighted to have with us Newt Crabbe, known to many of us as Newt, who's gifted with drawing and expressing it as painter in acrylics. And with your genius whole being, you've created 3D forms made with fabric, wood, and wire. Thus, created butterflies all around us. Take a gaze, And with Newt is Marilyn, his wife.
My wife, yes.
Yes, who has come to us as a butterfly.
Yes.
Marilyn, stand up there.
All right. Hey, let's hear it.
Beautiful.
Did you print that one?
Who did the wings? Who did the wings? Who did the wings?
Ain't that great?
Amazon. Company that sells on Amazon.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they might fly away, and then you might walk down the street here was the butterfly umbrella.
Well, I've shared the story that when we went to Paris. Yes.
How do you think that looks? Pretty nice?
I think they're ready to lock me up.
Huh?
I think my headband is caught into it.
I think you think she's ready for spring and summer?
I'll just stay connected.
Well, I've shared the story that when we went to Paris from the Cultural Arts Center in October of 2016, one of our highlights was taking drawing lessons along the banks of the Seine. Newt was one of us. Bob Padberg, another. The art teacher in Paris said to me, as he saw Newt's drawings, he should be teaching this class. Beginning at age 3, Newt started to love drawing. He loved it so much that when he ran out of paper around home, this is age 3, his parents gave him paper grocery bags, which he would fill up and soon want more. That's filling up with drawings. Thus, Newton has become a practicing artist since he was very young and an artist who creates images with acrylic paint for well over 50 years. He's expressed himself through painting as a rural landscape, and his surroundings where he lived inspired him. He was schooled and worked on the far west side of Columbus. His paintings reflect the great heritage and story of family farms as they declined and gave to industry as Columbus grew as a city and suburbs developed. He's painted Ohio rural scenes in near and far, Galloway, West Jefferson areas near Darby Creek, in Madison and Morrow counties, as well as in West Virginia and India. And seeing what fills this room, you now know that Newton's 3D forms made with fabric, wood, and wire create making colorful images that fly and inspire us. Newt enjoys the thought that you may wonder how an artist that paints large canvases with acrylics, who draws detailed scenes of Europe in pen and ink, creating yearly calendars, ends up with building these 3D butterfly sculptures. He answers that his larger-than-life butterflies were created to meet multi-layers of his thought and artistic processes. One of these was a practical reason for having a lot of airbrush equipment and wondering how to use it to create something new. Another stimulating factor was Newt's passion as a landscape artist and attraction to the endless beauty of nature. Newt reflects that butterflies are one of God's most attractive, mysterious, and magical creatures in nature. Newton was drawn to their quiet, unique movements, amazing rebirth, and colorful, symmetrical designs. And as these and other influences stirred within Newt's thoughts and feelings, he followed the process to produce what you see and experience before and around you. In past years, Newt could be seen painting his rural scenes out on the farm fields, capturing the history, tradition, and culture of the family farmers that settled the lands of Ohio. Observers would seek him out as he painted outdoors to watch him work, ask questions about his artwork, even photograph him for the Columbus Dispatch and the Messenger. Newt has been drawn into his paintings by the struggle and interaction between the human progress and nature. Newt, Marilyn, thank you for surrounding us with the beauty of the butterfly. What a gift to us.
And thank you for letting us show our artwork. Without this program,
Oh, the flash drive, yeah.
yeah,
Ah.
and the just showing the art to the public,
Yeah.
it's really, it just sets a heart to me that, you can share it to the other people.
For sure,
you know.
for sure.
And
And speaking of sharing, I'm going to share this wonderful, wonderful drawing. When we were in Paris, okay, my husband was with us with that hat, and he's worn this hat tonight, today. And here he is with Newt just drawing him
Yeah.
in his contemplative way.
Yeah.
He's right here. And by the way, I did not do this for this program today. I actually had a family Halloween party that I had to dress up as something, and I decided to go as a butterfly. So I already had this and just thought I'd add to the dimension of everything.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think it really adds to the summer and spring, the colors and all that. And this is the ideal, the colors. Going for winter, that dead period of no color, then all of a sudden in spring comes. You got the butterflies and the flowers and all the beautiful colors, and seeing what the Creator has created for us to focus on and enjoy,
And to know that once something is dead, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come back to life.
Yes. And I'm going to be talking about how I make the butterflies. The butterflies that you see here, me being an artist, I'm just amazed that they take 6 hours on a production line. Each one, I add it up all the time, and it comes up to 6 hours for one butterfly.
He makes them from scratch.
Yes, I make them from scratch, and I'll pass some butterflies around to you.
You want me to?
Yeah, and I'll show you on the wire. I have to form the butterflies' wings on this piece of wood here to make,
Hold the mic so you can use your hands.
yeah, making the butterfly, the wire, I have to work with the metal to make the butterfly wings.
So it would form, this one would probably be a bottom wing,
Yeah, bottom.
and it would form, he would lay the wire around there to form it in and out of this, and has to pull it very tight in order for it to stay into that form. Now, he would make many of these when he does it, so that, you know, of each shape and of each part of the butterfly wing. And then he has to keep them all, you know, separated in their
Yes.
groups.
And then I have to cut the fabric out, and then I have to put the fabric onto the wire, and then I got a process of heating it onto the wire. And that's a process in itself.
So I don't even know this because I'm not usually part of your butterfly factory.
I know.
So when you do this, you don't glue the wire down first and then cut the fabric. You cut the fabric and then to the
Gently
wire.
Put it down like this, on the wire onto the fabric. And then you got to tuck it in, this and that. And then I got a little heating process that I heat. And it took a while to figure all this engineering stuff out. And I'll pass the wing around to you. And that wing, each little wing like that takes a good half hour on the production line before it actually gets to the airbrush, when we airbrush it. You know. I don't know. I just go to Joann's and they just give me the fabric. Yeah, you
They
know.
don't just give it to you, you ask for it.
Yeah, I bring in a sample.
And he pays for it.
And it took many years to figure out what fabric really works the best. Yeah, you know, regular cotton doesn't work.
So when you first started, I'm sorry, and then I'll let you. When you first started, you made it one butterfly at a time?
Yes, and then it was a whole process of learning how to go about that. And the whole art is a learning process. I don't care what process in the art world you do, you have to keep learning and learning and learning. And that's so great because Marilyn's an art teacher, and she, you know, help kids start learning about art. And that's one of them things.
I think she has a question.
Do you spread the glue around? How do you get a glue on?
That's somewhat of a trade secret. I hate saying that. You know, if you can figure that one out, it took me many years to figure that one out.
Because if you had to do it manually, you would take your lifetime. And back then,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and back then,
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I don't know. I'm not in that butterfly factory. He works in his little
It's a
space by himself.
It's a simple process, but and then I have to make. Then I make little bodies that go with the butterflies. It's out 3 pieces of wood, shaped.
Do we have another one?
No, I'll hold that up. That's the little butterfly here. That's the little body. And normally I put little eyes on it and the little, what do you call the little?
The tongue of the butterfly.
Yeah, the little nectar eating.
Here, let me help us all out here.
I'm just saying, trying to say pronounce proboscis.
I know that's one of the reasons I don't remember it.
Yes, and this little process actually takes a little bit of time too. And then you got to put the wires in for the legs and the little antenna and then the little culicure, and then you got to put the wings in and this and that, and that's a whole process in itself.
Really combining engineering with art.
Yeah, that was the fun part of trying to let your brain make something out of nothing, you know. And the whole process was, how do I make this? It came to my brain. I had the airbrush equipment. I used to watch a guy do vans, Juan Parker. He used to be a van artist with airbrush on the 3C highway, and he was an interesting character, but I went and seen how he airbrushed and how he made stencils and all this, but I knew that I didn't want to get into the van painting fad at this time. I was more into the fine arts. But it was kind of interesting to see some of the stars and this and that. They would bring in their little vans and stuff and have painted, Huh?
I do apologize, I came in a little late, but I want to know how long you've been doing this.
The
You've already
butterflies.
said it. Maybe you've already said it, like I said, I came in late.
I've been an artist for about 55 some years, and I've probably been making the butterflies for about 30.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this on? Would you comment on what was said earlier about how it felt at age 3 or 4? We've heard several artists here over the recent past describe, we're all artists, but if you get nurtured and you get started on something you love at such an early age, you grow in that love and you attribute to that. But could you comment on what it felt like as a child to begin to get with that creative process that is unique to you?
I think it was my great Aunt June. She lived on where the fairground was, and she was up in her 90s at the time, and I was like maybe 3, and my parents was living with her, and basically she would go for art books and show me the art, and she used to be an artist. She used to paint on canvas, and she used to paint on china, very beautiful china, And I got to know her very, very well. She passed away when I was around 6, and when she moved out to the where the fairgrounds or whatever in the house, it was cornfields. And basically, when she was a kid, she remembered her parents taking her down to the State House and seeing Abe Lincoln in the middle of the tundra. And it's just so nice to have an experience like that, knowing that I touched a piece of history and knowing that she's seen Abe Lincoln and she would talk about certain little things and about, back at that period of time. And now you look on the, where the fairgrounds and the campus area is, that used to be when she moved in, that used to be a cornfield. Yeah. But
All inspired you.
yeah, I think so. And then I kept on going, and my parents moved away, and basically here I'm 4 or 5, and I'm drawing on Kroger paper bags, and and kept on going. And where's the paper bag? I just needed more paper bags, and then later on, you go to school, and basically you get your art teacher like Marilyn, which is a very important job for a lot of elementary art teachers and people like that, just because they start that little seed growing. And people don't realize that little seed is in their brain. Then all of a sudden, they work with it and work with it, but it has to be a certain type of person that knows how to work with them little kids.
Have you taken those into the schools, the butterflies?
Yeah, yes, we did. Marilyn would talk to you about that. And basically, we used to put it in her school at the end of the school year. About, what, 20 some years ago? Yeah.
I didn't know what you were going to talk about next.
Okay. Making the stencils for the butterflies, we have some simple stencils that's very simple. And that's, we put the two simples in.
Together. Now, was that for a stencil for drawing?
No, it's when I airbrush, when I put the butterfly wing in, then I close it.
Open it up then. Can you get it?
And when I put the butterfly wing in there, I close it. And then I take the airbrush around, and then I slowly work it around, and then you get the form that you need.
So would that be in the yellow butterfly? No?
This would be in the monarch.
Okay, the monarch?
Yeah.
With the black
Yeah.
going around the outer edge?
Yeah, that one takes 2 stencils to make. Yeah. That's the bottom, no, that's the top wing of the butterfly.
So, but the fabric goes in between these two, and then when it sprays, it only gets the outer edge.
Yeah.
So, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, you can kind of see that right there. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, how do you keep that one, that little dot? Do you have another magnet type?
Yeah, I think I do. It's just so many stencils and stuff, and I can't remember, and I have to mark it down. This is more of a complex stencil that you would have to.
Hold that up so everybody can see that.
Here, I can hold it.
Yes, that's it's
Because I'll show you this
That-
side.
that stencil probably took about 60 to 70 hours to make. Yeah, that's just simple stuff: wood, wire, and paper.
And then, of course, the material goes in between, and then you would spray this side
Yeah.
and this side
Yeah.
in order to get the print on both sides of the fabric. Is this able to be passed around?
Yeah, you can pass it around.
And we'll pass around the little one as well.
And here's one with a after it's been painted, stencils.
One side.
No, we paint both sides at the same time. Yes.
See, this is what the wings look like before they're all put together. And you can see how they would fit into something. They could fit into that contraption, is what I would call that. That contraption stencil. And then both sides were printed. You know, he would do the black. Do you usually put the black color on first?
It depends on, the black goes on last. And then that overcovers the other colors. It blocks in the other colors.
And he uses fabric because he likes the way the light will come through. Okay.
And learning to airbrush is very, it's not like using your regular brush. You got the air, you got the pressure of the air going into the airbrush, and basically you got to learn how to clean it, how to actually operate the airbrush, and basically some people don't even know what an airbrush is. Yeah.
And it's attached to an air compressor.
Yes. And basically, you can do a lot of things with airbrush equipment, sandblasting. Sometimes back decades ago, I was in a thrift store, and I seen some of my work. It was on glass, you know, I did a bunch of glass work, was sandblasting people's initials into glasses, was airbrush equipment
Into glass containers.
and containers. And it's just so neat to go into a thrift store and see your product right there. You know, it's like, whoa, I made it. I made it to fame, you know?
Are you sure that's not a pipe you're holding?
No, no.
But it can work like a pipe, because does the compressor go here
Yeah.
or here?
That little hose goes right here.
And the
Yeah.
air compressor, and then how does the paint get in there?
You put the paint. You put the paint right in. You got many types of airbrush. You know, you got Perche. You know, back years ago, I bought a bunch of Perche equipment.
Is that
That's
paint?
no, it's an airbrush tank and airbrush, brushes, and inks. And you got Aztec, and you got a lot of other brands of airbrush equipment. Some of them's very economical. Some of them is kind of high price. This is more the medium price.
And what do you have to buy special paint?
Not really. You can use acrylic or oil, but you have to water it down a little bit. I normally get airbrush paint for the butterflies, and basically you put the paint in and you blend it. And some of them you have little bottles that goes the opposite way. I kind of like this because it's a little bit less maintenance.
Easier to clean.
Easy to clean, and it comes apart, and you have to totally tear the thing apart and clean it. A lot of schools don't like this because the kids don't like cleaning it. You got to be very clean, and it's a very fine needle that goes through.
Now, you say airbrush brushes. Do you use brushes with an airbrush?
No, it's the airbrush itself.
So the air is what spreads
Yes.
the
Yes.
paint.
It's just like
Can you hold up a butterfly and show us how that paint goes onto it?
yes. Basically, I will hold up the die, and I
You
would
mean the stencil?
the stencil, and the stencil. I would work with the stencil, and before the stencil would come, I would put the main colors in before I get the black or whatever type
You
of.
do you spray it? Do
Yeah.
you use the airbrush to put like that yellow on?
The yellow for the first color, and sometimes I'll blend the colors, and on this one it's a lot of yellow and a little bit very light green yellow, very bright green is in here too, and then I would put the black.
So there's no stencil when you're putting on just the basic color?
Basic color. You see the multicolor over there? I put all the multicolors on right there before I put the black on. Yeah.
And the black is the stencil?
Yeah, and I have to work through on both sides, I'm trying to, and I will hold the butterfly up to the light and then do it that way.
Is it any wonders it takes so long,
Yeah.
those hours that you've described?
Yeah, it's an art project.
So he would take this, and using the tip of it, he would just spray. Because the air compressor would come through, and he could just spray that. He'd have to turn it over, spray that side. Remember, it's not connected to the body at this point. He's just working with separate wings.
Yeah.
Then he clips on the stencils and then changes into black paint.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the paint would soak through. You have to do both sides. It doesn't permeate the cloth and go through.
It permeates a little bit, yes. It soaks in, and sometimes depends on what color I'm using and how bright I want the color. Yes, basically, it's just it's like dyeing a piece of cloth, but you got to do it with the airbrush, and it's paint, it's not dye. But the paint does permeate the cloth itself, you
But
know.
It's not good enough.
To do one side.
Yeah,
Yes.
he would dye them first.
That would be very difficult. Yeah, you know, the airbrush would be more simpler to do, you know, than trying to dye it, you know.
So you put the paint in that little cup?
Yeah.
How many times do you have to refill that?
Maybe once for one color,
So
You
how
know.
many butterfly wings can you get out of one fill?
about 4.
So that's 8, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on each of those
Yeah,
4.
and
So 16 wings.
Yeah. And basically,
It really disperses the paint and,
yeah, and that little lid goes off, and I got a little squeezy bottle, and I keep squeezing it in, and then just keep going. And basically, you put an air chemical in, and basically, you know, and I'll pass around the airbrush equipment. Yeah, it's an interesting little piece of equipment.
it's probably, what, steel?
It's stainless steel, yeah.
That way it makes it clean, easy to clean too.
Yes, and it doesn't rust.
So this button adjusts how much spray you get?
Yeah. When you pull it back, you get a total spray. And then if you want a pencil size, you get it forwards and just gently put it down. I am not an airbrush artist. Some airbrush artists are very detailed. They really get into the airbrush. I like working with acrylic on canvas. It's a little bit more simpler and cleaner. But making the butterflies, that comes in pretty handy with all the thousands of dollars of airbrush equipment I had.
Let's take a moment and look around at these beautiful butterflies. And if any one of them strikes your fancy and you want to ask about it,
Hey, how do you
get
like
in
that?
on the conversation.
You-
Yeah,
you-
which one
Did you see,
strikes your
did
fancy?
you see the umbrella butter? Do you want to hold that? Here, I'll get it for you. Fill on that. Huh? Don't that look nice?
And see, with her twirling that creates air as
Air.
you are moving around. And these butterflies are on a twisty thing that will allow them to move. The pink one's really moving over here. You can see them twist and turn because we hang them on a special hook that allows them to move with the air in the room.
Yeah. You like that?
Stay up. They're going to stay up for indefinitely.
Yeah.
I know you're mechanically inclined and all
Yeah.
that, but this is genius, man. This is cool.
Yeah.
I like this. This is, so what inspires you to get this?
Down in my studio, I'm kind of like zoned out, and my mind is just going like, wow, can I make it a little bit more detailed? It's like a puzzle. And any artist, it's like a puzzle. And a lot of times I zone out, and making that, I was down there for like 10 hours trying to figure how to do this. What type of chemicals, what type of wiring, what type of materials could make a stencil like this? It's like being a mad scientist down in your garage.
Was this your first effort doing this one?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
okay, that's nice, man.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah. And I'm going to bring the level of detail a little bit up a little bit in the next couple of years with more detailed butterflies.
Yeah, like, I thought I saw some stencils that had magnets in them.
Yes, I have stencils with magnets.
that
Yeah.
would adhere to both sides.
Yeah.
You know, so that you could spray both sides
Yeah.
and they wouldn't come apart.
Yeah.
And they were just, I thought, paper, they were
Yeah.
just the stencil thickness.
Yeah, in the foam, yeah. That was it.
And this is kind of off track, but you have a way to reproduce these very nicely, efficiently and all that, but no market for them. I take it.
There's really not a market for it. It's more we hanged it in public buildings and churches and schools and some restaurants and like right here. And what I like about it is it just brings color to the room. And basically, and then a lot of times the people that I'm putting it up, they like being kind of like the director too, and they kind of like, wow. And we put colors here, colors there, and it just brightens up the room. Yeah.
It's more of a labor of love than it is.
Yeah, you know, when you tell somebody, you know, a lot of times, you know, I would hang them in the library on the west side. They're not hanging there right now, but for about 20 years, they hanged into the Lincoln Village Library, their Westland Library, for about 20 years. And basically, you would have people saying, I want to buy one. But then you look at them, and then you tell them the price, you know. It took me 6 hours, and then you get a, I know I can go somewhere else and buy something cheap, you know. Yeah, that's the problem with looking at real art. Yeah.
Yesterday, as we were setting this up, a couple come in from out of town, and they were just enthralled. I said, well, would you like to buy it? Oh, yes. So they bought a beautiful butterfly, having visited Columbus from, where were they from?
They was,
They were from Canada.
Can-
but
yeah.
They've been living in the United States for 5 years. And was it Indiana that they said they were living?
Yeah.
And he was here because he's part of a rock band. He plays in the band, and they're performing this evening. I don't think
Yeah.
we know where.
And they have one of your butterflies
yeah.
and paid the money for it and thought
Yeah.
it was very reasonable.
And this airbrush was bought at Harbor Freight. That is a very good airbrush. It's like $50. They got airbrushes that go up to $200 to $300. That does the same thing. With knowing over the decades, you know, $300 airbrush. You got cheaper. That's more in the middle of the range, and it does what you. That's a good starter airbrush for people, and it's easy, but you got to clean them. No clean, no work. Yeah, and it gets kind of irritating. You can see why a lot of high schools don't want the airbrush in there, because if you don't clean it, it doesn't work.
Connecting with Newt's experience, how many of you can identify with being 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever age it is, that you were inspired in some way to begin your art, drawing?
Yeah,
Eric?
see, we had about
Yeah, can
4
you tell
people
that
in this
story?
room.
Where
Yeah.
did-
It's not much of a story. I know I like to make marks, and my mom will tell the story that when I was 3 years old, I started making marks and doodling, and I never stopped. I know I never stopped, but I really can't say that I remember at 3 years old what I was doing necessarily. I did other stuff that I can remember, but drawing just seemed like it just came naturally. I was always trying to draw on something, or tearing something apart, you know. So it was, yeah. I don't really have a story like Newt. Newt's got a nice story,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else back here? There we go.
Yeah, he's okay. Oh, yeah, Newt can share his. Here.
No, let her go first.
No, that's okay.
No, I would like to say that those of us that didn't have that 3-year-old experience, even when you're old, it's never too late.
That's right.
I'm 67, and I really didn't start in art but 2 years ago.
Wonderful.
I danced and I took ballet at college, never danced again. I'm dancing again, so it's never too late to be creative. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for that.
Go ahead.
Hi. My mother, my mother was an artist, so I was surrounded by it at an early age. And I was so very fortunate to go to the Toledo Museum of Art every Saturday for classes. And it varied from ceramics to painting. It was such a blessing to be there and then go upstairs in the museum. It was beyond words. So I am very thankful for what I had.
That is wonderful.
You reminded me of my father used to take 5 children to the museum every Sunday after church. Go church first and then go to the museum. And he would.
Because at least here it's free on Sundays.
Right. And so that was part of, thank you for reminding me. And so the artistic spirit and the inventive, he was an inventor of 23 patents. And he had a workshop. And so from the earliest age, I'll be watching my father create. And he created a whole sonar system that helped us win the war in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else? A story of what?
I have one story that I liked. That one little kid, I was painting a painting out in the middle of a field of a barn. The little kid comes up to me and says, "What are you doing?" "I'm painting." "Why are you doing this?" I said, "It's there, and I like the scenery." He said, "It's an old barn." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What do you have in the tubes? Is it toothpaste?" "No, it's paint. It's acrylic." I went and talked to him, and there's maybe a little kid that's maybe 12 or 13, and he's curious. Why is this person got his easel in the middle of a field painting? And basically, I went and talked to him, and and he was very curious of what are you doing here? I'm putting in the sky real quick and this and that, and I said this barn probably won't be there no more. And then one day, me and Marilyn, we was at York Steakhouse, and then he was in a booth on down with his mom. He jumps up and says, "Barn painter, barn painter, barn painter," and
He didn't forget.
he didn't forget, but I didn't want to be known as a barn painter. Yeah, at least it inspired him to at least know, but I really don't like being called the barn painter.
Well, I had 2 comments. Because of my in with Newton, I was able to have him come out and paint on the playgrounds. And since I taught all the kids from kindergarten to 5th grade, they would each have a recess time in which they could ask him questions and watch him do his work and that kind of thing. So that was very exciting. We hung his paintings in the building. And that was his elementary school that he went to when he was young. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And there was a painting even there. Newton and I knew each other very slimly. I don't know that that's the right wording, but we hardly knew each other, but we were both at Westland High School. We were both in the art department. So we didn't get together until later in life. And and what was my point? No, just a minute.
Carried away by your having met. How beautiful.
I guess. So it was really it was really nice to be able to show the children that here's somebody who attended Prairie Norton Elementary, and now, this is what he can do, and, just to share that with them and make them feel a little more connected to it. The other thing I wanted to share is one of the most beautiful places that we were able to display the butterflies was at the Trinity Church, Episcopal Church, that's located a catty corner from the State House. And we were able to connect from 2 balconies, wires, and then hang them down over the pews, and plus put them around the church and up the altar and so forth. We wanted to have pictures for you, but something got in the way, and we weren't able to get them for you. But yes, we
And
have
never
displayed
were
these.
there more people who were going to church to see those wonderful butterflies. I just called Reverend Richard Burnett and told him that you were going to be presenting. He's now living in New York, and it was an experience for which he is most grateful.
Well,
It was
and that's
beautiful.
good, because actually Newton has a story about what happened when the bishop was going to be coming, and we had already put up the butterflies.
Yeah, Mr. Burnett, he told me to hang a bunch of butterflies. He came here to the Cultural Arts Center, and we got to talking about the art and this and that, and so. And I said I do paintings, and I do, I gave him a calendar, I believe, and so. And we got to talking, and I said to do butterflies. Oh, could you hang some butterflies? He didn't realize I was going to hang 100 of them. Yeah, and basically I got a call on Saturday. On Saturday, Newton, what did you do to my church? Do you know who's coming? My boss is coming to my church. The Reverend, the bishop is coming to my church. I might not have a job tomorrow because of you.
That's Dick's sense of humor.
And the bishop was very related in joy when he seen the butterflies. He moved up the ladder. Yeah, basically, when you ask me to hang butterflies, I'm not going to hang 1 or 2. I'm going to hang, this is like this whole room here. I'm going to let you inspire and the colors enjoy into your life.
You have
But
done that for sure.
I'm pretty sure getting a call on Saturday, it kind of upset him. But the bishop was he was elated with joy because of
He
the
never
butterflies.
stopped talking about that
Yeah,
and wanted
yeah.
it back.
Yeah, and basically it's more of a shock value when I used to see him coming in on Saturday and saying, "What did you do?"
We did discuss it with him and share what some of our ideas was. He just had no idea the impact it would have.
When you were talking about early age for art, that is something that has really happened over past years, not early years. Schools didn't all encourage art the way they have in, let's say, recent 40, 50 years. And I was thinking, I was looking for that for our children, so I brought them here to the Cultural Arts Center when they were 3 years old. And Debbie Jackson taught the art, and it was just extraordinary, the classes that these young children had that they weren't really getting 40-some years ago. And what I noted when you said engineering, our daughter has become a mechanical engineer, but she has never let go of the art. We have beautiful sculptures in our house, the combining of these professions. And I ask students that I serve about their having art classes.
Yeah,
Now, fewer and fewer are getting them.
yeah.
And we have to be about more encouragement and bringing them more and more into the Cultural Arts Center.
Yeah, it's just like surgeons and this and that, they work with their hands. And it's so critical. Art helps you from your brain to your hands thinking. Your whole body is connected to your brain. And if you can't work your hands, and if you're a surgeon or painting, whatever craft you're in, you got to work your hands, and it's so critical to know how to do that.
Did anybody hear on WOSU this week, I think it was maybe Tuesday, this mechanical engineer talking about designing the roller coaster at Cedar Point. And designing it, he said, not only am I a mechanical engineer, I'm an artist.
A lot of mechanical engineers in my family, and they all did art too. Like Garrett was an artist until he became a. I'm trying to. My dad was a mechanical engineer. He did fantastic art before then he turned it all into his mechanical engineering. He loved designing things. My other dad, my dad that died when I was a kid, he was always doodling. He was a mechanical engineer. Like my husband was a mechanical engineer, and he was artistic. I mean, and my mom calls me her mechanic. So, and I do art. So I guess it does. The mechanics and arts do go hand in hand.
Well, does a mechanical engineer have to be able to draw their ideas out?
Yes,
I think
they
they
do.
do.
Just
The
like
draft, they have to be able to
craftsman
draft.
has to,
Ye-
work very much in that way in architecture and.
Yeah. And I get the privilege of going to one of my uncle's shops or factories, and I get to talk to some of the engineers, and they're always fascinated by art. So it's because of that, because they had to learn how to work their hands, how to get what was in their brains onto that piece of paper.
And you really have taught us during this session
Yeah.
how that happens in
Yes.
you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and what I like really doing is the working on the canvas and doing the colors and stuff onto the canvas. Yeah, love is canvas. Yeah,
Newt, I'm with Eric, who asked the question, and no one to manage this. So the art of management, if I can use that expression, is needed. Maybe Channel 3 can say, anybody here in the world that views this that would like to manage, not only you, but a lot of artists out of this place, there's room in the world to spread this beauty through engineering and management. They're all arts.
And normally the artist is not the greatest business person. So that's because he's focused on making the art. It would be like a car company trying to sell their cars. That's the reason they have dealers. They make the cars, send them out. You got to have a products to move the product. Hey, going to the Cultural Arts Center and showing people my art, people don't realize what the Cultural Arts Center means to artists. At least you could share your art, talk to other artists, learn from their art, how they look at art, and how they perceive the art, and how the whole art world seems like you have a place to come to. And Culture and Connections was always something I liked, just because of the connection with all the other artists. And that's always nice.
Well, that's great.
And I've, as an artist from high school, would come down for the classes that they would offer here. And in the summers, they did offer for children. And I would love to see that return to this building, yes, to have the summer workshops for the kids to come to.
You'll have to come and teach them.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
As long as you come as a butterfly.
I was
long as
hoping
you come as
somebody
a
else
butterfly.
would. I'd be glad to help, but yeah. I don't have the energy I used to have. So, teaching for 35 years, that kind of did me in. So.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, everybody,
you.
for coming, and I
That was
really enjoyed
wonderful.
everybody. Thank you.
Newt Crabbe and wife Marilyn, that was wonderful. Thank you. We go with the spirit of the butterflies.
Thank you, everyone, for coming and enjoying and sharing.